Lantern breath shivered against rock, a gold-tinted heartbeat in a throat of stone. On the floor of a dead tunnel, an idol lay smiling, hollow eyes drinking light, mouth carved into a promise no mouth should keep. Wind wandered the mine, though no wind belonged there, and it whispered without lips, gold is not warmth. It feeds only the empty. They say, if you spend enough time under the WysprTree, it starts to whisper to you. The fire tonight was small, more ember than flame, so the teenagers leaned closer as if sharing a secret. The WysprTree towered above them like a cathedral of bones. Emily picked at the edge of her sleeve. Max watched the dark as if it had asked him a question. Jake tried to laugh, and the sound came out like a cough.
Where is she? Granny's late. I didn't know ghosts had a time card.
She's not late. She's watching.
You mean lurking?
Something shifted behind the bark, and then she stepped free, Granny, as if peeled from the tree itself. Tonight, her footsteps left faint dents in the soil, like a memory trying to weigh something down.
Ah, you waited. Good. Greed always makes people wait and keeps them waiting.
She lowered herself onto a root, polished smooth by years of stories. In her lap, a worn leather pouch, edges rubbed pale by hands long gone.
Tonight, we'll speak of gold that was never warm, and of a man who mistook hunger for destiny.
Cool. Love a bedtime story with a budget.
Bedtime never had a budget, child. Only a bill.
The pouch sighed when she opened it, though nothing was inside. The fire narrowed to a coin's glow.
Let me tell you about Cole, an American who chased old maps into older mountains. He dug deep until the gold dug deeper.
The clearing dimmed to polished black, bark became stone, their faces pressed into the sheen and shrank. The first breath of a high wind swept through the story, tasting of cold iron and thin air. The Andes knifed the sky, a row of white teeth biting God. Clouds dragged their bellies along the peaks, torn open on stone. In a valley where maps argued with each other, a man set his boots into the world like a claim. Cole Whitaker, mid-30s, handsome the way a postcard can lie, salt-lined hat, canvas jacket stained by other countries' dust. He had a compass that stuck on north when it felt like it, a revolver he never cleaned, and a talent for charming people he had no intention of remembering. Behind him trudged a hired guide, older than the trail by the look of his eyes. The guide said nothing now. He'd said enough already.
No es calor, ese oro llena a los vacíos.
Cole pretended not to understand. He understood the gleam that lives under rock, and that was enough for the day. They reached a mouth in the mountain, a collapsed mine half sealed by a shrug of stone. Above the seam, an ancient carving, a face that smiled without liking you, eyes that were empty on purpose, words chiseled beneath in a language the wind had adopted long ago. Gold is not warmth, it feeds only the empty.
Funny little warning, like a doorknob that says, "Don't enter."
He wriggled into the split, shoulders scraping cold rock, lantern swinging a pale coin of light against the dark. Inside, the mind's breath was stale with metal. Water ticked somewhere, patient and precise. The walls had been licked by fire a lifetime ago, and soot had learned to sleep. In a chamber at the throat's bend, he found them. Idol-shaped from hammered gold, not smooth but jagged, as if chiseled from sunlight with a dull knife. Their faces smiled the same smile as the carving outside. The hollow eyes looked like they'd watched many winters and decided winter had won.
Well now, retirement plan secured.
He slid one idol into his pack, then another, then a third for luck. The leather strained like a rib cage. There was no breeze this deep, but his lantern flickered as if someone were testing its patience. Behind him, stone made a sound like a throat clearing. He turned. No one, only the prickling feeling that sometimes means you've misread the guest list. Cole left the chamber without looking back, which is a kind of looking back if you think about it. Night gathered on the slope like a funeral coat. Cole set a small fire and chewed dry bread with the relief of a thief who thinks he outran the owner. The guide had gone, vanished without argument, as if the mountain had reached up and pinched his contract closed. Cole reached for a bottle, swallowed heat, and then frowned.
Why am I cold?
The fire licked his palms, and he felt nothing. The lantern burned steady, and its glow did not care for him. Beneath the canvas of his pack, the gold made a sound that wasn't a sound, the way a dream can feel, like being rung like a bell. He pulled the drawstrings. The canvas breathed out a faint mist, no steam, no smoke, just a quiet exhale that smelled of old coins rubbed thin. His fingers shook. His nails went pale. Somewhere inside him, a room opened that he hadn't rented. When he touched his chest to steady it, the beat there felt like a polite suggestion rather than a fact.
Tomorrow I sell you off in Lima. We're done.
The fire snapped in the middle of his sentence, and a puff of golden dust lifted from his lips as if he'd laughed at a joke no one heard. Sleep came like a wrong door. He woke shaking. Ice had nested in his bones. He threw more wood on the fire, fed the blaze, but warmth turned sideways and slid off him like water off wax. He opened the pack and stared at the idols. They were faintly warm to the touch, unreasonably so for the hour and altitude. When he pressed a palm to his own ribs, he felt less there than he remembered. He drank more because that's a solution men like when the problem is themselves. The bottle emptied. The hollow stayed.
It's mine. I earned it.
Somewhere far below, the mind gave a long, slow sigh. To the mountain, men are footsteps. To the gold, men are pockets. He tried to sleep again and dreamed of warm rooms he'd never loved properly. Parlors where he had smiled at people he meant to leave. City beds where he'd promised a morning that belonged to no one. In the dream, he touched a woman's cheek, and his fingers sank through her like smoke, clutching nothing. Warmth, the dream said, is a kind of debt. Dawn had not yet thought about arriving when Cole's breath went thin. He clutched his chest, and his fingers, trembling, angry, found a quiet there he could not name. He pressed harder. His skin drew back from bone as though trying to remember a smaller man inside him. His eyes sank, and the world made rings inside them. He tried to call for the guide, for the mountain, for his mother, any name that had once meant food and blankets and hands. When he spoke, a soft cloud of glitter kissed the air, not ash. Finer, beautiful, if you were cruel. He tore his shirt and pressed his palm under the ribs. It sounded inside like a seashell, that hollow ocean sound you get when you pretend a shell is talking. Something had been removed to make room for something else. He crawled for the pack. The idols watched him the way a fire watches a moth.
Take it back. Take it.
The gold did not want to be taken back. The gold wanted him to be more like it. His hands stiffened, joints forgot their music. He raised one palm and the lantern light struck it and clung. The lines in his skin began to fill, not with blood, but with a pale gleam, like riverbeds remembering flood. In the weak gray before morning, 2 climbers crested the ridge, drawn by the cough of a dying fire. Their boots scuffed a trail of frost that had formed in a ring around a man-shaped absence. They found the campsite neat as a chapel. The pack slumped, the canvas stank lightly of coins and something sweeter, like old fruit. On a folded blanket sat a new idol, taller than the others by just the height of a man's pride. Its face was Cole's if you were unkind. Handsome, arranged with the precision of a forgery, mouth parted in a grin that had measured itself. Eyes scooped empty to hold any light that wandered past. The climbers stared. One crossed herself without thinking. The other reached out, then did not.
Está sonriendo.
Wind touched the idol and made no sound. Wind touched the men and stole a little of their heat for later. They left the idol there because leaving is a story people tell themselves when taking is louder. By noon, rumors had already set out across the valley wearing boots of their own. Villagers avoided the ridge and taught their children the long path. Foreigners came and went with expedition smiles and missing maps. Some returned richer by one nightmare, most returned only by rumor. The idol stayed, smile set, eyes hungry politely. When snow fell, it hooded the golden head like a priest. When sun burned, the metal kept a little warmth for itself and shared none.
Greed is not wanting. It is forgetting what warms you.
The mine walls unstitched into bark, snow melted into leaf shadow. The leather pouch in Granny's lap whispered shut. Heat returned to the fire like a favor finally repaid.
The idol, it smiled?
I don't think it stopped. You know, I'm starting to think these aren't just stories. Like, legally speaking.
Some stories echo louder when we pretend they're not real.
Emily glanced down, and there by her shoe, just for the length of a blink, something gold winked like a bad idea. When she looked again, it was only dirt being what dirt has always been. The wind turned a page overhead. The WysprTree gave a quiet creak, as if remembering a winter none of them had lived through.
New rule. If something glitters out here, we don't bring it home.
Speak for yourself. I could use a raise.
It wouldn't warm you.
Granny's lantern wove gold across their faces. For a heartbeat, each of them looked like the best version of themselves, how they'd picture it if the mirror asked for specifics. Then the light went ordinary again.
Warnings are like winter coats. Useless if you leave them on the peg.
What if you're already empty and the gold finds you first?
Then you learn what a mouth looks like when it pretends to be a smile.
The fire popped. Something shifted near the roots, a little chink sound, like a coin choosing a new pocket.
If you see anything, call it out.
I hear metal when the leaves move.
Above them, a branch bent like a hooked finger, dew collected along its curve in neat beads. Each drop caught a speck of firelight and hoarded it.
Gold can't love you back.
Not even when it smiles.
In the soil at the base of the tree, the thinnest glimmer recoiled and went dark, like a creature deciding to sleep where hands couldn't reach.
No es calor, ese oro llena a los vacíos.
The night's not done, but this story is. Until next time, stay curious.